Hello and welcome to a very short slideshow on how yoga can be a stress relief strategy for you and your organization. I'm Marla Pelletier with Inward Office, and we've been leading yoga, meditation, and fitness classes for the last almost 15 years now in local organizations in Rochester, New York, and now virtually across the country on how these different awareness practices can give you new tools to manage the ups and downs of daily life, new stressors that we face. And so specifically here, I want to separate how yoga as a fitness, this type of exercise, as a fitness modality, and yoga as a practice of deepening awareness. And we know now from different studies at business schools and from business theory that self-awareness is a critical component of emotional intelligence and psychologically safe teams. So let's see, what can yoga do? How can you take this perspective of yoga as a stress relieving practice and bring it to your yoga class? Or if you take one of our yoga classes, how can you enhance the benefits of the practice? First is breath. So one thing that really makes yoga different from other forms of fitness is the conscious use of breath and the instructor cueing you to pay attention to breathing. From a very technique-based orientation, the longer exhalations turn down our arousal system, so that sympathetic nervous system response to perhaps stress in the environment. Those long exhalations allow the parasympathetic nervous system to be more dominant, which means that rest and digest part of your system. So when you're in poses, especially when you're holding them, see if you can really lengthen the exhalation with pursed lips like this, or by constricting the throat and doing an ujjayi breath, a breath with a little bit of resistance. Sounds like a soft snore. The positioning of our body. There are many poses that actually enhance on a physiological level the ability of the body to calm down. So our heart rate begins to slow when our head is below our heart. Now, this does happen, but you can experience the opposite. You may experience, if you lift your hips and your heart up higher than your head, you may experience a strong blood flow to the face, an increase in heart rate, an increase in stress. In many cases, in my experience, it depends on your experience level. Maybe it's your first time doing an inversion or something where your head is lower than your heart, and you actually have a sense of panic or pain or discomfort. Maybe you have an imbalance in your eyes like cataracts or other cervical neck issues. This may not be the best stress reliever for you. So with all of these, you have to test the theory. You have to see if it works for you. So theoretically, this can lower your heart rate. Self-study. So in our practice, we may notice our response to stress. Let's say we get into a difficult pose, a challenging pose, and then we notice maybe some negative self-talk. Maybe we notice that there's a part of our body that tenses or shakes. And when we're getting quiet in this class, it may actually be helpful for us to begin to notice these responses, so then we can be more conscious of how we may respond to similar stresses outside of yoga class. So that same self-talk might be mirrored in our day-to-day life, and we just haven't noticed it before. The cause of stress. Again, we're quieting our external distractions when we're practicing yoga, and we might be able to reflect on some external stimuli that cause our stress. Maybe we're sitting there, this has definitely happened to me as a mom of 4, I'm sitting there practicing yoga and I begin to notice in the background the yelling or fighting of my children. And my heart rate begins to increase. I begin to get a little anxious. I feel like I need to stop and maybe intervene. And so when I have that quiet space, I get to notice all those little responses within my body to an external stress. Another point to bring up is that sometimes our stress isn't in the present moment. Sometimes the cause of our stress are our thoughts about the future, our rumination on the past. And as the instructor cues you to focus on what's going on right now with your body, your breath, your sensations as an anchor into the present moment, you may notice that actually you're safe, comfortable, at ease right here, right now. Presence. How often each day do we just give ourselves attention? Okay, for some of us, we don't give ourselves attention. We're constantly giving the external environment, the people around us attention. So presence is just showing up for ourselves, being awake to what's going on inside of us, which can be a deep kind of rest. The rest of the day, your mind may be jumping from thing to thing, or your body may be in action all day. And so yoga can be a time of deep rest, rejuvenation, self-care, and kindness. Okay, so see if you can practice that presence with yourself. And then for most of us, there is some level where we're releasing this physical feeling of held tension. So we develop holding patterns in the body. For myself, my shoulders tense up. They round a little forward because I'm working at a computer. And so we have these patterns that we've accumulated from repetitive movement. And some of them have a deeper consequence on the way that our bodies experience stress and experience balance. So for instance, this rounded forward shoulder position is actually not good for my ability to take a deep breath. So as I begin to release the tension in my shoulders and my upper back, I might find that I can breathe more fully, that there's a new kind of relaxation. And participants find that often after a yoga class, there is some level of a release of physical tension. And being with what is. So it's common throughout our day, if we experience pain or discomfort, that we seek to change it. We don't choose to stay in it when we're in our automatic pilot or we're in our daily habit. Let's say we get stuck in traffic. Our minds immediately go to, okay, how do I get out of this? Okay, let's say we're experiencing discomfort, how we're sitting, our bodies naturally adjust. Well, when we're in yoga, sometimes we're experiencing discomfort, sometimes we're experiencing new sensations, and we're actually trying to just be there with this newness and investigate it, become more aware of it, and deepen our breath, calm down our body, and see if we can stay with this. And this, I find, helps with my resilience. I've heard this from some participants as well. That it helps us to understand that when we're having a challenge, we may experience these similar discomforts, this similar pain or resistance, and that sometimes we can, rather than avoid it, we can actually get through it, even with all of the alerts of the body and the mind. And so for you, when you're doing a class, really, this comes down to what does yoga do for your stress relief? So although research studies are great and they show how a protocol can be similar for a whole group and yield similar results, ultimately yoga is a personal practice, an independent practice where we need to find out if positioning works for you, if breath works for you, if being with what is works for you. Find your own theme that helps deliver you a sense of stress relief. So I thank you for your attention, and I hope this adds some added dimension to your practice so that you get some of these stress relieving benefits. Have a wonderful day.